After 9 years of marriage, my husband Tyler lost his memory and believes he has an unforgettable first love. At first, I thought Tyler was simply confused, mistakenly attributing our memories to a fictional first love. But later, I realized I was completely wrong. Chapter 1. This was the fourth time Tyler kicked me out of his hospital room after the car accident. The white door slammed shut with a loud bang, stopping just inches from my nose. Though it didn't touch me, it felt like a harsh slap across the face. Outside the room, a few people whispered among themselves. Kenneth came over and gently tried to comfort me, sister-in-law. Tyler's memory is a bit mixed up right now, and his emotions are unstable. Don't be upset. I brushed aside a strand of hair from my forehead and sighed softly. I'm not upset. I was just a little confused. After losing his memory, Tyler was polite and gentle with everyone except me. To me, he acted as if I were his worst enemy, even if he resented me for the sake of his so-called unforgettable first love. It shouldn't be to this extreme. I handed the thermos I was holding to Kenneth. Please give this to him later. If he still refuses to eat, just throw it away. Kenneth hesitated as he took it. Sister-in-law, it's okay. I gave a slight smile. When he remembers, he can repay me for all of it. Chapter 2. The day Tyler had the car accident, I was abroad. I rushed back overnight, only to be met with his cold demeanor. I arrived at the hospital in the middle of the night. The hallway lights were dim, and the empty corridor had an inexplicable cold and lonely atmosphere. When I pushed open the door, Tyler was still awake. He was sitting on the bed in his hospital gown, with a bandage wrapped around his forehead. His face was pale, and his expression was blank. He looked like a completely different person from the Tyler I knew. Tyler locked eyes with me, and as I was about to speak, a loud crash erupted behind me. A black object flew past me and hit the wall. My heartbeat quickened. Then I heard my husband coldly spit out one word: get out. Later, the doctor told me that Tyler had lost his memory. He lost his memory, but not entirely. He forgot about me, forgot that I was his wife. Yet he still remembered our past when we were in love. He remembered those youthful, trivial moments, but he had attributed those memories to a non-existent unforgettable first love. The unforgettable first love accompanied him through the startup of his business, through the hardest times, and step by step, to where he is now. But she never married him. I don't know what role Tyler has assigned me, to make him despise me so intensely at first sight. But I'm not angry. After all, it was me who accompanied him for 9 years. It was me who was with him from school uniforms to wedding dresses. It was me who was with him from youth to maturity. There is no way he could have an unforgettable first love. I was so sure of that. So when Jennifer appeared, I thought she was just a misunderstanding on Tyler's part. Chapter 3. It's not that I haven't tried to tell Tyler. The sharpness and coldness of his attitude were a stark contrast to how he used to treat me. After 9 years of being in love, we almost never fought. I attributed it to Tyler's endless patience with me. Our relationship had always been stable, perhaps too stable. So much so that I was utterly convinced that Tyler would only ever love me. We fell in love when we were young, and our feelings for each other grew and waned through the ups and downs of daily life. We had faced the 7-year itch, but we made it through. 9 years is a long time, long enough for our lives to intertwine like roots and branches, making it impossible to untangle. So when my once loving husband now looked at me with eyes filled with frost and rejection, I felt an indescribable sadness and sorrow. I wanted to tell him, but the memories in his mind seemed to have formed their own logical sequence. When I tried to restore the truth, it only disrupted his chain of logic, unable to bear the strain. He chose to escape, fainting, and when he awoke, nothing had changed. The doctor advised me not to agitate him any further. Take it slow. I always thought that was why Jennifer found an opportunity. Chapter 4. The week before Tyler was discharged from the hospital, he still refused to eat the meals I made. Though his attitude had softened slightly, he no longer directly shut me out. But when we were together, he remained distant. He didn't want to talk to me, so I just sat by the bed and watched him. The bandage on his head had been removed, revealing a small scar on his forehead. He leaned against the headboard, eyes closed, lips pressed into a thin line, his brows furrowed slightly. Instinctively, I reached out to smooth the crease between his brows. Tyler's eyes snapped open. I withdrew my hand, expecting him to be angry again, but instead, he asked, "Elaine, why did I marry you?" "Because you love me," but I didn't say the words. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy. The answer was on the tip of my tongue, but I remained silent. That's when Jennifer appeared. She walked in, carrying a pink thermos, her voice cheerful. "Tyler, I'm here." The young woman wore a pretty dress, her face radiant, eyes sparkling with joy. But when she saw me, she froze. I was stunned too. She looked about 70% like a younger version of me. A wave of fear swept over me as if my fleeting thoughts had become reality. A crack formed in my heart. The next moment, I saw my husband, who had been so cold to me, soften his gaze, his expression filled with tenderness as he softly called her Jenny. Chapter 5. Kenneth's words confirmed my suspicions. He sat on a chair outside the hospital room, sighing with an apologetic expression. "Yes, sister-in-law. Tyler sees her as the younger version of you." The absurdity of the situation almost made me laugh. "When did it start?" Kenneth rubbed his forehead, hesitating before replying in a low voice. "On the 5th day after Tyler's car accident. So that's why he never ate the food I made for him. Because someone else was making it for him, right? That's why he didn't want to see me. Because his unforgettable first love had appeared." A surge of anger rose within me. Tyler's recent hostility seemed to mock my foolishness. This ridiculous situation felt like a farcical comedy. "Kenneth, are you crazy?" My hands clenched tightly, the knuckles turning white. "He imagined an unforgettable first love, and you went and found him one?" Kenneth sighed again, his gaze deep, with something in his eyes that I couldn't quite decipher. "Sister-in-law, I was wrong to keep it from you. But this person wasn't found by me. More accurately, she was found by Tyler himself." Chapter 6. I instinctively wanted to refute him, but Kenneth just sighed again, his head lowered. He had discovered it by accident. One afternoon, he heard someone talking in the hospital room. He heard Tyler's light laughter among the voices and initially thought it was me. He even believed Tyler had remembered something. The conversation stopped, and the door opened to reveal a face both unfamiliar and familiar. He and Jennifer both froze. Tyler, standing inside the room, called out to him, and as he turned his head, Jennifer quickly walked away. He asked Tyler who she was. Tyler lowered his gaze and replied, "My lover." Chapter 7. When I pushed the door open and entered the room again, the previous conversation abruptly halted. Two pairs of eyes focused on me, and the atmosphere in the room became awkwardly tense. Tyler's gaze remained cold as he looked at me. Jennifer sat by the bed, the spoon in her hand suspended midair. Tyler, unfazed, continued eating from her spoon before turning to me and asking, "What are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" I didn't look at him. My gaze fell on Jennifer instead. She averted her eyes, flinching slightly, and Tyler immediately stepped in front of her. I almost laughed in exasperation. "Tyler, what do you think you're doing?" I knew I shouldn't be angry with him. He was just confused. But seeing him instinctively protect someone else, I couldn't control my temper. "Don't forget, we are the ones who are legally married." I couldn't tell him the truth, so I used this fact to bind him. Tyler's expression changed multiple times. "Jenny, please step out for a moment." Jennifer's face paled. Tyler turned to her, giving her a reassuring smile. She relaxed instantly, set the bowl down, and slipped past me out of the room without meeting my eyes. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving just Tyler and me in the room once again. I bit my lip, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. "Elaine," his tone was flat. "Let's get a divorce." Chapter 8. I used every ounce of strength I had to stop myself from slapping him. Tyler had only lost his memory, not his mind. I couldn't imagine such words coming out of his mouth. I could only tightly grip the hem of my dress, and after a long time, I finally squeezed out a single sentence through gritted teeth. "Why? She has been with me for so long. She deserves a proper status." Tyler lowered his gaze. "I was supposed to marry her. She was with me from nothing. But somehow, I ended up marrying you instead. Sorry." But it was me who had been with you all these years. The doctor's advice echoed like a curse, sealing my lips shut. If I had been calmer, maybe I could have reasoned with him or come up with a better plan to slowly guide him without agitating him. But the words caught in my throat, and all the cold treatment and grievances of these days burst out at once. I was like a stubborn child, staring at him, enunciating each word. If you want a divorce, you're dreaming. The door slammed shut with a loud bang. I leaned against it, feeling powerless for the first time. I never thought Tyler would ask for a divorce, and certainly not because of an unforgettable first love. Tyler rarely spoke harshly to me. During the most difficult times, we huddled together in a leaky house, keeping each other warm. Back then, everything was terrible. He had been cheated out of money. His business partner ran off, and he alone bore the debts. We couldn't afford electricity, and in the winter, we relied on a thick, heavy quilt to stay warm. The water in winter was icy cold, and he wouldn't let me touch it. He took on all the water-related chores, and his once beautiful hands became covered in chilblains. But even when life was that hard, he didn't forget to give me a necklace for my birthday. The silver necklace wasn't expensive, just over 100 yuan, but for him, burdened with debt, it was a luxury. I was upset with him for spending so much on a gift. He just smiled, rubbing my face, and gave me a kiss. He said, I'll make sure you live a good life. I will always love you. But now, he says, Elaine, let's get a divorce. Chapter 9. I was only angry with Tyler for one day, thinking that he was just confused. I realized that I was wrong too. I shouldn't hold a grudge against a patient. The next day, I brought him his favorite plain noodles, only to find Jennifer there again. It seemed like after being caught by me, she became even bolder. The girl who looked like me but younger. Even her casual expressions were just like mine used to be. She and Tyler were acting intimately. When I arrived, she was talking to Tyler, and even though no one else was in the room, they were still close, whispering as if sharing a secret. Tyler listened with a faint smile at the corner of his eyes, just as he used to do when I spoke to him. It was truly an eyesore. I knocked on the door loudly, interrupting the cozy moment. The smile at the corner of Tyler's eyes vanished instantly, and the look he gave me was as cold as ice. I was caught off guard by his gaze and suddenly lost my mood. I made you some longevity noodles. I lifted the thermos and forced a smile. Your favorite. No need. Tyler's tone was distant. I've already eaten. I then noticed the pink thermos on the cabinet and the lingering aroma in the air. The memories that belonged to just him and me seemed to have been taken away by Jennifer once again, and the anger I had suppressed surged back up. Miss Song, you'd better have some decency. My gaze fixed on her face, my eyes as sharp as knives. Taking things that don't belong to you so brazenly, it's hardly something to be proud of. Jennifer's face turned pale, and as she opened her mouth to speak, Tyler was quicker to defend her. Miss Elaine Liu, if you're not here to discuss the divorce, please leave. He really does see Jennifer as his beloved. I won't divorce you. Elaine, Tyler interrupted me. I don't love you. He said it so calmly that I almost believed it. He didn't love me. But it shouldn't be this way. I bit my lip hard. Tyler, you will regret this. Chapter 10. Tyler was discharged from the hospital. He didn't tell me. I went to the hospital room only to find it empty. When I called Kenneth, I found out that Tyler had already been discharged. But he didn't come home. I instinctively wanted to call him, but no one answered. That had never happened before. Tyler owns many properties. I searched each one, from the city to the suburbs, until Kenneth finally called me. He spoke cautiously. Sister-in-law. Tyler called me back. Where is he? He is with Jennifer. As soon as Kenneth sent me the address, I drove over. Jennifer lives in an old neighborhood, with peeling walls and a layer of dust accumulated over the years on the door. Old and familiar, back when we didn't have money. We also squeezed into places like this. I knocked gently on the door, and a cheerful female voice came from inside, coming. When the door opened, Jennifer saw me and was momentarily stunned. I didn't want to waste words with her. Where's Tyler? Tyler is sleeping. The familiar nickname made me feel nauseous for a moment. A surge of anger rose within me, and I asked sharply, "Who told you to call him that?" The girl was frightened by my tone and shrank back, her eyes turning slightly red at the corners. Jennifer lowered her head. Then, as if gathering some courage, she raised it again to look directly into my eyes. "Miss Liu, Tyler loves me." "Loves you?" I almost laughed out of anger. "Why would he love you? Does he love you for the imaginary 9 years of companionship? Or does he love you because you look exactly like I did when I was younger?" My tone wasn't exactly fierce, just a bit louder, but her courage seemed as small as a rabbit's, her eyes reddening further. Yet she still trembled as she retorted, "That's not true, Miss Liu. I admit we look somewhat alike, but Tyler loves me, and what proof do you have?" "Miss Liu, Tyler and we've known each other for over a year." Before I could fully grasp the meaning behind her words, Tyler came out of the room. He was wearing a loose, somewhat shabby white t-shirt, with a few strands of hair sticking up on the side of his face, looking sleepy, overlapping with his appearance when he was 20. After Tyler got wealthy, his clothes never cost less than 4 figures. I stared at him, stunned. Then quickly, with force, I slapped Jennifer hard. The crisp sound echoed through the small rental apartment, and almost immediately, I was pushed to the ground with great force. The living room was a mess. I fell onto a pile of sharp objects, and my hand was cut by a broken corner of the coffee table. Warm liquid dripped down, and the stinging pain spread from the wound. I just stared blankly at the sight of the sharp red. After comforting Jennifer, Tyler turned to scold me, but he froze the moment he met my eyes. "I'm not delicate at all. It's just that Tyler spoiled me. He treated me like a precious jewel, and if I got hurt even a little, he would react as if it were a big deal. I used to tease him for being too nervous about me. He would just smile, pull me into his arms, and sigh softly. My Elle has endured so much with me. It's only right for her to be a little delicate. Elle, don't let yourself get hurt, okay? You will always be the most important." Tears fell, one by one, leaving dark stains on my dress. I saw Tyler instinctively let go of Jennifer's hand and was about to rush to me. For a moment, through my tear-blurred vision, I felt a surge of joy, but it quickly faded. Jennifer hugged him from behind, clinging tightly to his back, and called out to him sorrowfully, "Tyler." Tyler's movements abruptly stopped. A flash of confusion crossed his face, and he stood there, frozen and helpless. My heart softened, and in the next second, he collapsed heavily to the ground. Chapter 11. Tyler never believed that he had amnesia, because in his mind, only the memories related to me and Jennifer were confused from my perspective. But to him, his memories were complete. Kenneth couldn't convince him to see a psychologist, and neither could I. The doctor said not to overwhelm him, to take it slowly. It felt like an unsolvable problem. I couldn't move forward, nor could I retreat. I worried that he might be overstimulated, yet feared that he would remember too late. All I could do was hope each day that he would remember me. A little sooner, a little faster. But this time, I failed again. When Tyler regained consciousness, Jennifer was quicker to act. She swiftly pushed the door open and threw herself into Tyler's arms. Tyler didn't push her away. I leaned against the door, coldly watching them. Tyler lifted his gaze, and when our eyes met, he suddenly reached out, causing Jennifer to stumble. She looked back at me, and tears immediately welled up in her eyes. Seeing her cry, Tyler hurried to wipe her tears, gently asking, "What's wrong?" I couldn't stand the warmth of the scene, so I interrupted. "Miss Song, I'd like to have a word with you." Jennifer, like a startled rabbit, looked as if she was about to burst into tears again. She instinctively looked to Tyler. Tyler hesitated for a moment. "Don't worry, we'll just be outside. Go on." Tyler patted Jennifer's hand reassuringly. "If anything happens, just call me." Jennifer nodded heavily. I found it ironic. What could I possibly do to her? Chapter 12. The red mark on Jennifer's face hadn't faded yet. I had indeed hit her hard. Tears still hung at the corners of her eyes, making her look pitiful. Like me, yet not like me. "Miss Song, You said you've known Tyler for over a year. What do you mean by that? Jennifer probably didn't expect me to be so calm. She lowered her head, her hands clasped together, and remained silent for a while, as if gathering courage. Miss Liu, Tyler truly loves me. I know you've known each other longer, and I know I look a bit like you, but he absolutely loves me. Miss Liu, Tyler is just bound by marriage. If it weren't for you, we would have been together long ago. Jennifer's audacity exceeded my expectations. Does Miss Song have some kind of mental disorder? I crossed my arms and coldly retorted. Jennifer's face turned pale at my words. Miss Liu, she bit her lip. Last August, your grandmother passed away. You kept calling Tyler, and he kept comforting you, but he didn't come back. Because he was with me, Elaine. The disguised little rabbit's face twisted into a slight smile, as if she had found my weak spot, with a hidden satisfaction in her smile. All last year, Tyler was with me, traveling the world. Chapter 13. I almost slapped her again, but Jennifer covered her face first and weakly called out for Tyler. The person in the room quickly stepped in front of her, his face as cold as frost. My hand froze in midair, then slowly lowered back down. Tyler didn't scold me. He merely glanced at me, then took Jennifer's hand and led her back into the room. I had no desire to argue with them anymore. I called Kenneth and asked him to come help keep an eye on Tyler. As I got back into the car, a message suddenly popped up from an unfamiliar number with a screenshot of a Facebook post. I knew it was from Jennifer. I should have opened Facebook to see it for myself, but another voice inside me was screaming, urging me not to open it. People's sixth sense is always so inexplicable. A tremendous panic arose from nowhere, and I knew that if I really searched for that Facebook page, perhaps Tyler and I would never be able to go back. But I still looked. Chapter 14. The images on Facebook crushed the last bit of my delusions. Each post, detailed with dates, matched moments in my memory. I thought we had survived the 7-year itch. I thought it was just a small bump in the road. I thought Tyler just needed time to find his way back to his heart. So I gave him plenty of space. Our love had been too smooth, except for that 1 year. After a year, he went back to being the Tyler I knew. I was even happy then, thinking that love had simply evolved into a part of our bond, and that we were still each other's only one. But I was too naive. All those trivial details magnified, and that year replayed in my mind like a spinning carousel. Emotions I had carefully buried resurfaced with a vengeance. I had to face the truth. The Tyler I loved. The Tyler I thought could never betray me. The Tyler who had been entwined with me for over a decade. He had cheated on me. Chapter 15. They met last year. Jennifer joined Tyler's company, and in turn with no work experience suddenly became an employee favored and valued by the boss. At first, she merely recorded her crush on her superior, a young girl's infatuation, but it was just a silent admiration. But later, she discovered that the person she liked also favored her. The two gradually got closer. Tyler took Jennifer to many places. They watched the sunrise over the sea of clouds, the sunset by the ocean, the northern lights in Scandinavia, the solitary smoke of the desert, and many more. Under the pretense of business trips, they almost visited all the places I had once noted down in my planner. I had planned countless times, eagerly imagining what it would be like for Tyler and me to visit these places together. We would take lots and lots of photos, capturing every moment. But he was always busy, and I always thought he was busy. When excuses became a habit, I stopped bringing it up, but I never imagined that he had already been there, with someone else who looked like me, visiting every place I had longed to see. It wasn't me. They saw the northern lights in Scandinavia in March. The chill of early spring had not yet faded, while I was bundled up in a heavy coat, tucked into a warm house, drowsily calling him. He and Jennifer were standing under the brilliant aurora, vaguely replying to me, "Go to bed early." "Yes. Just sleep. I'll be back soon." "Yes." Chapter 16. They went hiking and watched the sunrise together in May. The date marked on Facebook was May 27th. The golden light leapt from the clouds, spreading across the earth. That day, I worked an overnight shift, and at dawn, I couldn't help but message him to vent. He replied quickly. I was surprised and happy, asking why he was up so early. He said he was hiking with colleagues to watch the sunrise. He lied. He had gone only with Jennifer. But at that time, I believed him. I said, "Have fun with your colleagues." They went to the beach in June. Jennifer posted many photos. Many of them were taken by Tyler. Their island trip lasted a long time. From mid-month to the end. That period happened to be when my grandmother passed away. Life and death are inevitable. But the pain of losing a loved one kept me in sorrow for a long time. But during that sad time, Tyler wasn't by my side. Now I know. He was with Jennifer, watching the sea. Chapter 17. The Facebook posts stopped in December of last year. Then they resumed in April this year. Every meal Jennifer made for him. Their intimate selfies in the hospital. And other small, warm moments. The pinned Facebook post was from June of last year. It had just one sentence. "I hope to marry you soon." My world collapsed. I was awakened by the ringing of the phone. It was Tyler calling. "Elaine." His voice had a slight hesitation. "Let's talk." If only it had come earlier. If only it had come earlier. These words came too late. "There's no need." My voice was hoarse. "Tyler, let's get a divorce." The breathing on the other end froze. "Your voice. It doesn't matter." I interrupted him wearily. "Weren't you the one who wanted a divorce?" "I agree." The other end was silent for a long time. I could hear his breathing, growing heavier with each breath, until finally, I heard him say, "All right." Chapter 18. Tyler's divorce papers were delayed for about 10 days. I didn't push him. During that time, I didn't seek him out again. Except for one dinner event that I couldn't refuse. The event was deeply entangled with benefits and status, and he had no choice but to lower his head to me. I agreed. As I entered the banquet hall on his arm, it felt just like old times. We moved through the crowd with our wine glasses, engaging in conversations with various people. I maintained a perfect smile, and together we played the role of the ideal couple. When we finally had a moment to ourselves, I suddenly asked him, "Isn't Jennifer upset?" Tyler's smile faded. His lips pressed into a thin line. After a long silence, he softly asked, "Elaine, are we?" The rest of his sentence was swallowed back. The confusion on his face lasted only a moment before he sighed again. "Never mind. I'm sorry. I've wronged you." "Of course. You've wronged me. But it's more than just that. Once he remembers everything, he'll realize just how much he's done." As we left the hotel, Jennifer was waiting for Tyler at the entrance. The night was chilly with a strong breeze. She stood in the dark wearing a white dress, looking fragile and delicate, evoking pity. Tyler immediately let go of my hand and ran over to her. Draping his coat over her shoulders, he held her hand, gently scolding her, though his voice was full of affection. I stood at the entrance, watching the two of them huddled together under the streetlight. For a moment, it was as if I was looking at myself and Tyler from a few years ago. I knew Jennifer saw me, so she smiled, curling into Tyler's arms, shamelessly flaunting their intimacy in front of me. I just stood there, like a bystander, expressionless. It seemed as if Tyler suddenly remembered I was still there. When he looked back at me, he caught sight of my calm expression, and he froze for a second. I quickly pulled on a smile. "Send me the divorce papers soon, Tyler." He seemed surprised by my attitude, momentarily unsure of how to respond. I didn't look at him again, my gaze shifting past him to settle on Jennifer's face. "Miss Song," my smile deepened. "I wish you the best in achieving your desires." The little white flower bloomed into a smile, standing behind him, for the first time not backing down, proudly and arrogantly saying, "Thank you for your blessing, Miss Liu. Tyler and I will be very happy." Tyler's expression shifted slightly. His lips moved as if to speak, but in the end, he said nothing. Just before I opened the car door and got in, I suddenly turned back and called out loudly, "Tyler!" Just like 7 years ago, when I saw him waiting for me under the school building after class, full of joy and unreserved, shouting his name across a crowd of people, and Tyler turned around, just like 7 years ago, except this time, he didn't smile at me, and I didn't run towards him. This time, there was no crowd standing between us. I looked at him, smiling with crescent-shaped eyes. "Wishing you A Lifetime of Lost Love. Chapter 19. The divorce papers were handed over by the lawyer. I didn't want to see Tyler again. A few thin sheets of paper marked the final conclusion of our decade-long entanglement. The division of assets didn't turn ugly. I simply reminded him that he had cheated during our marriage. He accepted the role of the one at fault, compensating me as much as possible in the property division. It only took me 5 seconds to sign my name. How ridiculous. In the end, my marriage ended abruptly, all due to the upheaval of a single month. Tyler and I arranged to meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau next Monday morning. He called me again, but I didn't answer. When I put the phone down and opened Facebook, I saw that Jennifer had changed her pinned post. She replaced it with a smiley face emoji. I simply closed Facebook indifferently. Chapter 20. On Monday, I arrived very early. The Civil Affairs Bureau wasn't open when I got there. I waited from dawn until dusk. Tyler didn't come. People flowed endlessly on the street, and I sat in my car, staring out the window in boredom, watching as the sky gradually turned vibrant with colors. The phone rang again and again, until another contact called. Kenneth's voice was heavy with panting, filled with urgency. Sister-in-law, where are you? Tyler has been calling you non-stop, but you haven't answered. He just had surgery and insists on seeing you. When he couldn't reach you, he ran out just now. I couldn't stop him. Please, call him back. I lowered my gaze and asked softly, did he remember? Yes. Tyler fainted yesterday. When we got him to the hospital, the doctor said surgery was necessary, and it just finished today. As he spoke, he seemed to notice something amiss. Sister-in-law, you and Tyler. The streetlights flickered on one by one, illuminating the city as people returned home. The Civil Affairs Bureau had closed, and the street was gradually emptying. A taxi stopped at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. A familiar figure hurriedly got out, tall and thin, dressed in a hospital gown, with one slipper lost in the rush, standing on the street, looking around in confusion. I had rarely seen Tyler in such a disheveled state. After the age of 25, he became the revered Mr. Joe, handling everything with ease, always composed and unflustered. Even when he lied to me, he couldn't find me, so he picked up his phone to call again, over and over. Kenneth's call was still connected, and when Tyler tried to call me, all he heard was the mechanical voice repeating endlessly. I watched as his face slowly crumbled, becoming lost and desolate in the twilight. Watched as his emotions unraveled, pain wrapping around him. I watched his reddened eyes, hunched back, and ridiculous attire. I laughed silently. We're getting divorced, I said softly. Don't call me sister-in-law anymore. The person on the other end of the line was startled, just about to say something, but I hung up on him. The car started and quickly drove away from the place. The farther I went, the more my joy grew unchecked. I never planned to give Tyler to Jennifer. On the contrary, I want to make sure she never gets him. I timed it just right and sent Tyler a package, something that would shatter his entire understanding. I should be thankful that I was once foolish enough to preserve those memories so perfectly, thinking that in our old age, we could reminisce together. Before, I felt sorry for him, heeding the doctor's advice, afraid to upset him. Now, I'm no longer afraid. Chapter 21. Tyler called me like a madman. I didn't answer any of them. He also sent me messages, wrote many long messages trying to move me, but they just irritated me. I didn't go home. I stayed in a hotel instead. My colleagues told Tyler that I was on vacation when he came looking for me, just before the plane to Iceland was about to take off. I answered Tyler's call. He didn't seem to expect that. His heavy breathing filled my ear as he cautiously began. Yes. I fiddled with the tassel on my bag, responding softly, when are you coming home? His tone even carried a hint of appeasement, as if he were coaxing a child in a tantrum, hoping to brush everything under the rug and pretend it never happened. How could that be possible? It was 9 years. The intertwined branches of our lives were too complicated to untangle, so I chose the most decisive way. The memories and years we shared became knives, slicing between us, leaving wounds that bled profusely. Every cut was soaked in blood and tears. How could it be graceful? The bonds were too deep, and when severed, they tore us apart, leaving us shattered. I never imagined that we would end up like this, nor did I imagine that I would come to hate Tyler so deeply. Don't call me anymore, I said softly. When you've set the date for the divorce, then we'll meet. Jew. I hung up the phone abruptly. The suitcase made a soft rolling sound on the ground as I boarded the plane to Iceland. Chapter 22. The snow hadn't melted when I arrived. On the third day, there was another heavy snowfall. My cousin, who had settled in Iceland, took some time to have a snowball fight with me. The two of us, almost 30 years old, bundled up like snowballs, moved nimbly through the snow, just like when we were kids. When we got tired, I collapsed directly into the snow. Snowflakes gently fell on my face, melting instantly, and tiny droplets of water slid across my skin. Cold and refreshing, I lay on my back, staring up at the swirling snow. The cold seeped in from all directions, creeping into my clothes, and my hands buried in the snow were so numb that they were about to lose all sensation. It felt like I was about to drown in this storm. Suddenly, my cousin's face appeared above me, squinting and smiling. Get up, Elle. Your sister-in-law's cookies are ready. I reached out my hand. What was once smooth and soft was now swollen and red. Ugly. Like pig's trotters. The delicate snowflakes fell on them, melting quickly. It hurt. It hurt so much that my eyes stung and burned. Brother. I called out to him, my voice hoarse. Winter's water. It's really cold. Chapter 23. Tyler dragged things out for over 10 days. He tirelessly sent me messages, called me, begging for my forgiveness. I only answered 2 calls. The first was from Kenneth. He hesitated before calling out, Sister Elle. Before I could respond, he continued, Tyler fired Jennifer. She made a mistake, and no company will hire her anymore. Tyler hasn't been to the company these past few days. Tyler got drunk and told me a lot about the two of you. He looks at the things you send him every day. Tyler said he knows he was wrong. Sister Elle. I didn't respond. So Kenneth kept talking. Tyler got drunk again yesterday. His voice suddenly turned bleak. He cried. Sister Elle. I've never seen Tyler so vulnerable. Obviously. You two were so good together. It was 9 years. Sister Elle. Tyler said. He's waiting for you to come home. There won't be another 9 years with someone who's been with him from obscurity to success. There won't be another me, carrying a heart full of courage, loving him passionately and sincerely for so many years. We were each other's one and only, etched into our bones. When we parted, it was bound to tear us apart, leaving nothing but raw wounds. But still, I don't want him anymore. He's the one who changed. He's the one who cheated. He's the one who made the mistake. I'd rather he had completely fallen out of love than find someone who resembled me, just to disgust me. He knew how much I despised cheating, but he still did it. Those who lose me will lose me forever. Chapter 24. The second call I answered was from Tyler. After 15 days of deadlock, it seemed he had finally realized that I truly wasn't coming back. He sent a new divorce agreement, and when I received it, I was curled up in a chair by the fireplace, holding a cup of tea my sister-in-law had made. Warm and drowsy, I forced myself to stay awake and flipped through it. Tyler was even more generous this time, practically giving me most of his assets. So when his call came, I answered. Elle. The voice on the other end was slurred. I assumed he was drunk. Yes. He probably didn't expect me to respond. His breath caught. Then, very carefully, he called out again. Elle. Yes. Then, like a fool, he kept repeating my name. Elle. Elle. Until his voice choked with sobs. Finally, I heard him ask. Elle. Am I going to lose you forever? Yes. I replied softly. Chapter 25. The day I returned from Iceland. It was almost summer. The sun was bright, and the breeze was gentle. Tyler came to the airport to pick me up. I spotted him right away as I stood outside. He had lost a lot of weight. His face looked haggard. These past days of drinking, sleepless nights, and repeated hospital visits had taken a toll on him, leaving him ill. The gloom on his face hadn't faded. and there was no trace of the confident and spirited man he once was. When he saw me, his eyes briefly lit up, but then quickly dimmed again. Let's go straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I cut him off. The process was quick. When the green booklet was handed to me, it felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders, and I suddenly felt light and free. The late spring sun wasn't particularly warm, but it was bright, so bright that it made me feel that everything would be all right from now on. The box of things I sent to Tyler, the one I'd looked through carefully the night I saw Jennifer's Facebook, had been revisited item by item. From high school to university, from school uniforms to wedding gowns. In just one night, I had flipped through the last 10 years of my life. I sat by the lamp until dawn. In our 20s, our love overflowed. But now, I don't love Tyler at all. What's the use of long-winded apologies? Tyler, you need to suffer more than I do to truly make amends. Chapter 26. I turned back, met Tyler's eyes, and softly called out to him, smiling, Tyler, congratulations on losing your love forever. The last bit of light shattered in his eyes. His face turned ashen,